Hello, this is another working or reading, but not in a truly traditional sense, with my everyday Enchantment tarot. So, without further ado, let us look at the cards that I have chosen to work with, or have been chosen to work with, because I tried to pick one from each of the suits and one from the majors, and sometimes two come out at once. So we have today in the central position the world, the sun, so we've got two majors today, and then we have the Ace of Wands, the Seven of Coins, the Eight of Blades, and the Three of Cups. And we have a sneaky other one that wanted to come in too, which is a kind of additional Four of Coins. Hope I'm not cutting them off here. I am so limited in the space that I've got to do this in. I'd love to be reading this in a circle or working with it in a circle, but unfortunately I have to do a semicircle and imagine them talking to each other across this kind of situation. So let us start by looking at the cards in the central position, the sort of pivotal cards, and it could not have been a more appropriate card than the world for two reasons. Just bearing in mind that I'm doing this completely freestyle off the top of my head, trying to work as intuitively and as spontaneously as I can. Yes, the tarot is so rich. I'm not talking about my deck here, but obviously I have worked with the traditional format as much as I possibly can, and the tarot is so rich and so deep and so multi-layered that you can take these on so many different layers. You could be reading into them ad infinitum. But the two main things that I take from this today are obviously the completion of another cycle of the year, and that's very much what the world is about, a completion and a wholeness, and also about oneness, about wholeness and connection, and that sort of sense of belonging to something greater than yourself. And below that, with the next major card, we have the sun, which sort of follows on from the theme in my last video, which was very much about holding that dual awareness, the fact that you are part of everything, but you are also this individual spark here to express itself to the best of its ability in the current experience that you're having. And you are here to perfect the art of that self. If some of my cards are very much about art here, so I think that's appropriate to say as well. So those are the two cards that are here, and I think it's wonderful that they are here, because it has been such a dark time in so many ways, and the cards over here, this card over here especially, the Blades card, expresses that so well, but we'll come to that in a second. And these two cards are both linked by a great sense of positivity and energy and joy of remembering who we are, remembering our connection to all things, to all beings, to all creation, and also the joy in being that individual being that we are, even in the midst of what has been and what will probably continue to be a very testing time. Now, I'm not going to go into the specifics of what is going on in the world, because you all know what is going on in the world and you all have your own take on it. These cards are not talking specifically about those things, but they are sharing something that is beyond the transient events that are unfolding around us. They are beyond that, in terms of we need to keep our strength and our sense of hope and our joy and our connection. I don't feel like I really mentioned that connection to the other creatures that are in the cards last time, in the last video, so I want to address that, because every card, as you'll know if you have worked with them or if you are familiar with them, every card has representatives of our creature kin, as well as the unseen beings that we can't see but are who are around at all times, because there are many layers of reality. This is not the only reality. This is not the only world. There are multi-layers and many things that we can't see directly with our physical self. So the representations of, I'm going to point with my gloved finger, there we go, the representations of our unseen beings are not strictly as they would appear. They are just literally representations to show that we are not all there is. There are many, many, many other layers of reality, existence, etc. And we are all part of one essence, one greater self, shall we say, whether we're human or non-human, seen or unseen. And I think it's really important that this card came up. There was no picking and choosing here. I literally just pick out a black framed card and so forth around choosing, so I know that I've got a representation of the major and the minor arcanas, and sometimes two cards come out, and that's what happened with the Sun. And I'm so glad that they did. I just think that the tarot is such a beautiful thing, that it always gives you what you need to see and what you feel you want to talk about. And I really do feel at the moment that this is such a precious gift to us, that we need to remember our connection to others, to everything, to feel that, not just to sort of know it, but to actually feel it in our heart. And there is a heart there. This is very much this is a card full of love and joy, but also a kind of peace, and there's nothing frenetic about it. Everything is in its place. All the creatures are in their rightful place, all flowing across the landscape that has been created by these ladies. This is one of the cards that combines kind of fantasy and reality. It's not strictly of this world. Obviously, we know that in this world we cannot knit another world, but it is connecting the realm of the physical with the realm of the unseen and the imagination and what we feel we can achieve by combining the two, because we are not just the physical. So I am very pleased that card was there, because it really does ask us to consider what we have completed this year in a purely physical sense, what we feel that we have achieved on all levels, not just what we've manifested, but what we've achieved, how we've grown as beings, how we've connected with others, how we feel we've progressed as, for want of a better word, spiritual beings as well. The human language is so limited, and I feel the word spiritual is just doesn't really do it for me, but I think you know what I mean. Our eternal selves, how have they learned? How have they progressed? Have we allowed the external events that are going on around us to separate us, to make us feel we are apart from everything and everybody, and that there is some sort of suspicion or unease or division between us? Here, this card reminds us that essentially, beyond everything else that's going on, there is no division. We are all one being experiencing itself, one essence, one energy experiencing itself, one infinite awareness experiencing itself as individuals in this experience, this apparently physical experience. And this card, the Sun, really does it really embodies that. I'm glad now that they chose this card for the front of the box, although I was unsure about it, because it just really has got so much. It radiates, as it should, because it is the Sun, and the creatures within it, and the unseen being, the butterfly and the of transformation, and the unseen being. There's so much radiance. The beautiful pigeon with its lovely iridescent neck, and the Sun and the lady and everything. Doesn't matter where you are. This is what this card is telling you. It doesn't matter whether you're in physically not very inspiring situation like this one. I've talked about this card before, that I actually ended up in a situation very much like this one, and remembered this, that you have to shine no matter where you are, no matter what is happening, and you have to express that thing that you uniquely are, and you have to find your joy no matter what. And I think that's a thing that quite a lot of us may have forgotten or been frightened into forgetting this year. We might have lost our connection, the connections that we've had, and last year, of course, because things have been difficult for nearly 2 years now. So, and I think I can speak for the whole of the world when I say that, because it's not just something that's limited to the country that I'm in. It's a global thing that we have been restricted and limited and cut off. And these two cards are really a clarion call, a great reminder that we are this unique, shining being that cannot be quenched or quashed or limited by whatever's going on around us, because we are an eternal flame, and we are that unique eternal flame that also is part of the one fire, the great fire, if you like. The great fire, I probably didn't put that terribly eloquently, but there again, I am just speaking to you as I am thinking, really. I don't want to do these readings where I'm just quoting it off a piece of paper, you know, so they're not perfect, and they're not strictly readings, they're just so yes, these two cards could easily have a dialogue with each other. And even though we have the butterfly and we have a butterfly here, so there's a unity between the cards and a flowing between the cards, and those deer are leaping out of the cards and into the one that's directly next to it, which couldn't be more, well, it's very appropriate again to what's been happening. The Eight of Blades, it's very appropriate to what's been happening this year. But it's very different, because this one is all about isolation and restriction and a mental prison that we find ourselves erecting around ourselves, and a sense of being completely dislocated from the for want of a better word, the natural world, because we're all part of the natural world, but that sense of being locked in and locked into ourselves, not just physically but mentally and spiritually and emotionally, just locked in and trapped within a mindset, within a fear mainly. There's a lot of fear in this card. Oh, the dog is expressing it, the child is expressing it. And if we zip from this card to the Seven of Coins over here, we have a very similar dog who is in a totally different position, but we shall come to them shortly. But there are connections between the cards that I've picked, and that is a lovely thing. I just love working with this deck and the tarot, and having created it with so much study of the multifaceted things that you can pick from each tarot card, and each meaning is just, it's a delight, folks. It's a delight. Anyway, yes, so this one is just about, and the playpen is also of the child. It is also a representation of that feeling of entrapment. Even if the child can be lifted out of there, the woman can get outside, no matter how hard it might be. The dog can be taken for a walk. It's just at the moment they're all locked into this, and I think that is a very appropriate thing, that we have we become very locked into our beliefs, our fears, everything this year, and do we need to get back? Here we have the Three of Coins, to that sense of just pure joy of connecting with other people that we love, and even people that we don't know. Just that sense of, you look at somebody and you think, you are another self, you are another one of me, you are another representative of the all that is, and I acknowledge you as that. And I love her face, because she is so full of, she's joyous in the same way as this lady here is joyous. She is full of it. She sort of encompasses that sort of namaste feeling, where she is sort of acknowledging, she's looking at us. She's delighted that her friends are with her, but she's actually looking at us and saying, hello, you are another self. I welcome you too. I welcome you into my home, and be part of our experience, and hopefully this will encourage you to have your own experience in a similar way. Get together with those that you know, those that perhaps you don't know yet, but recognizing everybody. She doesn't know who she's looking at through that card, through the window of this card. She doesn't know who she's going to be looking at, but she recognizes them as a part of her, as another self. And that's very important. And the colours in this are very, there's a lot of energy there, but the colours are very calming. There's a lot of tranquility. There's a sense of peace and belonging in the same way that there is with these ladies here. So of course this lady would be speaking to this lady, perhaps giving her a tap on the shoulder, giving her a hug, just saying, come on, just get your hands off the window, turn away, give me a hug, remember who you are, remember what we all are. And this is just a transient experience. What really matters is this, is just, well, this. I'm not going to say any more because you can see what I'm talking about. The card is speaking for me there, so yes. So if I swing over to this side, this card is very much, the world is very much about completion, but this card here, which is the 7 of coins, is sort of, she's completed work from this year, but she's also looking ahead, she's looking forward, she's thinking about what comes next. What can she do that will express the art of herself in the coming cycle, in the next phase of her creativity? That's not all that this card is about, not at all. This card is about all sorts of things. Just moved a minute. Yes, it's about perseverance as well, and about not giving up, because although she's looking distractedly away, thinking what comes next, always thinking what comes next, as pretty much every artist and creative person does. They complete something, it's just like, well, what's next, because that's finished now. But not I've lost my thread, sorry. Yes, the person is also saying, well, value what you've done, don't just move on from it, value what you've done. And the dog here is a key in this card, absolutely key, because the dog knows. The dog is quietly sitting there with their human companion and just saying, come on, don't just be always looking forward. Actually take stock of what you've done and be, enjoy it. Enjoy the fruits of your labours, of what you've achieved this year. And the people in the background here, I want to bring them into the next cards, because this is the Ace of Wands, very much again about what are we going to do in the next cycle. Full of life, the sun there coming up, the solstice sun coming up over the horizon, a new start, a new year, a new cycle connecting again to her, and the joy and the radiance, all the creatures in here, the pheasant is lifting its wings, the horse is galloping, the lark is ascending, the unseen being at the side of the canvas is full of, come on, there's so much energy and life in this card, but it is about beginning something. And going back to this one, the people in the background doing something that isn't just for you, thinking about what you want to do, but also what perhaps would be good for others too. What would other people enjoy you doing? Not so that you tailor your work or your art or your creativity or your project, whatever that is, to somebody else, because that's never going to be a good thing. And not just doing it for the money either, but doing something that you feel will benefit or have worth in a wider sense. And that again brings us back to these ladies here. What they're doing creates something in a wider sense. And so this lady here is very much part of there's a very much got to point my glove, there's a very much a cycle going on here. All of this is connected. She's not doing something in isolation, locked in a room. She's outside connecting, and she's looking at us again. She's looking directly at us. She doesn't know us, but she knows us. She doesn't know us personally, but she knows who and what we are, in the same way she knows who and what she is, and she's including us in that process. But then I picked out another coins card, because I didn't mean to, it just came out at the same time as the 7 of coins, and this one again is a complete opposite. This chap has isolated himself on his little island when he could be sharing that with the people in the background. The children and the dog in the background are just running by. He's oblivious. It's all very much about, look what I've achieved for me, this is what I've got out of it, and you can't have any, and it doesn't relate to anything else. The gull is shrieking, it's territorial, the crab is waving its pincers in a territorial fashion, the unseen being has got its hands on its hips in a territorial fashion. It's all me, 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 forgetting who we are. So again, there were, you know, this card would speak to him, she would speak to him, not in a harsh way, but just, you know, turning him round the other way so he can see the people behind him. Invite them over, because they are you. They're another aspect of your greater self. So, yes, you can see how these cards would speak to each other. I hope that is the intention with them. And very much that central theme of what's coming up at the moment for me, and not wanting to direct these cards to speak for that, but they just naturally do, which is just the marvel of working with tarot cards. You just get the cards that you need to talk about or work with, and I'm not working with them in any traditional sense, but you can see, hopefully, I'm on 21 minutes, so I'm going to have to stop now, but you can understand how I would work with these, or how you could work with them, and how they would all speak to each other. Imagine they're relating to you directly out of the frame. They can walk into each other's spaces, they can talk to each other, all the creatures have meaning, they can talk to each other, they can, you know, everything can move out of the frame, basically. They're just little doorways, and there is communication between all of them. So I will end there before I get cut off, and I've talked for long enough. I'm hoping that these videos are going to be instructive and give you some further ideas of working with the Everyday Enchantment deck yourselves, and I hope to do many more of them. I also hope to talk about these books, which are a series by Dave Eggers called The Circle and the Every, but I'm not quite ready to do that yet, but that connects also with what I've been talking about here. So I'm going to stop. I really am going to stop now. There is a phrase called in Lakesh, which was meant to be a Mayan. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sure it's Mayan and not Mayan. A Mayan phrase, but there is a lot of dispute over that. But it basically means you are another me, you are another self. And that is really central to this. So it's all about holding that dual awareness of being part of everything, but also expressing that you uniquely are, and remembering your joy. Do what gives you some joy. Have some fun at the moment. Break out of that mental thing. Stop feeling that this is the only reality that there is. Forget this transient that's going on, and, you know, get out if you can and look at everybody and everything and all the creatures and everything that you connect with, and think you are another self. And that sort of widens things out in a way that I really wanted this deck to inspire, and I hope it has. But I've said enough. So again, I wish you lots of love for all our relations, and I hope to be back soon. Okay? Goodbye then, for now. Au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, etc. Yeah, just love, love, love. Bye. Stay free.